What's good, Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver and Brandon Scott. The Wizards make no moves at the trade deadline. They did trade for Rui, but they made no trade moves in the past 24 to 72 hours. We're going to talk about some of the moves that the rest of the Eastern Conference made and the rest of the league made. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. This episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. The Washington Wizards made no moves at all today. Other teams did make moves, and they improved in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference. Tommy Shepard said he's fine with not making any moves today. He did talk about in a presser with Wes Hall from NBC Sports Washington. He talked about how they're 14-9 in the last 23 games. The defensive rating has gone up as well, and the improvement that he's seen in Deni Avdija as well. And since Gafford has come into the rotation, they're 14-9. They rank 10th in defensive rating, 13th in offense. Just a disappointing day, in my opinion. I just feel like there were some moves that definitely could have been made to upgrade this roster and get some value back, and you just see what other teams got for some of the guys that they shipped off. What were your thoughts about today, and what was your biggest disappointment or surprise so far?
I guess I get the moves, man. You know, you want to open up a spot for Jordan Goodwin, and Will Barton just hadn't panned out in DC. But to me, is looking at the deadline, I don't get the vision going forward for this roster. We have been playing better, but you know we're lacking that scoring punch off the bench. You know, we got rid of Rui for Kendrick Nunn, and I feel like Kendrick Nunn has had flashes where he's been really good, but then he's had games where he's just non-existent. So, you know, we don't have a lot of consistency with our guards. And then with Will Barton, you know, I get it, man. You know, like I said, you want to open up a spot for Jordan Goodwin, but then look, Will Barton can provide a spark scoring off the bench. Now, defensively, he's not a defensive guy, but he's very inconsistent. But I feel like we lost more than we got. You know, you're looking at the deadline. You know, we lost Rui and Will Barton for 3 second rounders, and Kendrick Nunn. So I think we lost a lot more than we gained, man. You know, we need that score off the bench. That's why I was a big fan of Josh Richardson. I thought that was a name that we could have looked at. I mean, you were talking about Josh Hart before the show, man, and how much it really took to get Josh Hart. I feel like they could have been a little more, you know, they could have tried a little harder, man. Because here's my thing. You know, Tommy Shepard and Ed Leonsis said they want to make a playoff spot. Well, the team's worse. So you just it's worse. Like, what are we doing? Like, you say you want a playoff team, but then we come out of the deadline a worse team. Now, I get it. Will Barton was inconsistent, but he still was a scoring spark. You know, why not have that depth? He's an aspiring contract. There was not a need to get rid of him. Now, I get it that he wants to go. He wants to, there was reports that he wants to go with the Boston Celtics. And I say, hey, by all means. But I don't get the vision, man. I don't get it. We're not a better team. And I don't understand what they're trying to do. You know, are they really trying to be a playoff team? Are they trying to mini tank? I don't understand what's going on. So, yeah, I think it's a very uneventful day. Now, looking at the other teams in the trade deadline, wow. And I'm going to throw another reason why I think it was a bad day for us. Because look at Brooklyn. Look, they just lost KD and Kyrie Irving. And so if you look at the standings currently, they are 32-22. Now, I think they're a nice young team at this point, but they're going to slide down standings. They're not a playoff team. Not in my opinion. You know, Miami is definitely going to go over them. New York's going to go over them with the acquisition of Sadiq Bey. I think Atlanta's going to step up. Chicago, they're kind of like us. You're kind of in the gray area. They didn't make a lot of moves. And then you look at what Toronto did. So I feel like this was the opportunity for us to kind of make a move to try to get up there in the standings if we're really serious about making a playoff push. And so the lack of movement, I think, is going to hurt us before it helps us in the long run.
Yeah, it was disappointing we didn't make any moves to upgrade the roster. You know, you said we lost Will Barton. I don't know if Will Barton just didn't want to be here anymore. I know there was Mark Stein reported that he wanted to signed with the Celtics after being bought out. So maybe he just wants to go to a championship contender, which the Celtics are definitely a championship contender. And it just didn't work out here. He did have a couple good games before he got traded. I guess, the Wizards were showcasing him, but I think it was definitely time to move on. But yeah, he definitely could have helped. We have lost some bench firepower after losing Rui. Now, Denny has stepped up, but we still don't have a shot creator, and that's a big reason why we lost to the Nets. A big reason we lost to the Blazers, and another, we got blown out by the Cavs. But we still just didn't have any heavy. We don't when Kuzma and Bill are out. We don't really have a lot of scorers, guys that can create for themselves off the dribble, and that's something that we lack, and we just didn't get that in the trade deadline. There's a guy named Bones Highland who I don't know if the Wizards were interested in or not. But when you see a team like the Clippers get him for 2 second-round picks, you're just looking around like, what's going on, Tommy? You couldn't do that. We just got 3 second-round picks for Rui in a trade, and I feel like that's something that you could have did. Now, I know Bones Highland, he may not fit the profile that Tommy Shepard's looking for. I don't know if there was anything going on behind the scenes with the Nuggets, the reason why they were so ready to get rid of a guy who's so productive in Bones Highland. I know his defense isn't great either, but he would definitely be our best or most explosive, really, point guard or just guard other than Bradley Beal, of course, really on the team that can create a shot for himself. And I think Bones Highland would be a huge addition to this team. And I feel like, Tommy was just asleep at the wheel. He just feels so content with the solid 3. He's just focused on bringing back Kuz, bringing back Porzingis, and making the playoffs. In this press conference with Wes Hall, NBC Sports Washington, he brought up that the goal is to make the playoffs. That's your goal. When you look at the Celtics, their goal is to win a championship. When you look at the Bucks, their goal is to win a championship. When you look at the Sixers, their goal is to win a championship. The Suns right now, their goal is to what? Win a championship. You look at all the juggernauts in this league, and their GMs are saying championship. And you look at us, and our GM's looking, and he's saying playoffs and playing. That's the goal. So it's disappointing. Tommy, especially Tommy, he usually makes moves, and that's what he's known for, is for making trades. And I think what he's trying to do, he's trying to wait for the offseason, seeing where we end up, if this pick conveys, if we don't make the playoffs or if we make the playoffs somehow and the pick conveys, then, you can use the picks and you have more flexibility with our first round picks. So I get that. And then you look at some of the other trades. I'm disappointed this makes me a little bit more disappointed with the haul that we got for Rui. Jay Crowder getting traded for 5 second-round picks. I feel like if Jay Crowder's getting traded for 5 second-round picks, then Rui definitely could have got maybe even 6 or even more than what we got. Gary Payton II was traded for 5 future second-round picks. So just looking at some of the hauls the teams got, I feel like Tommy traded Rui a little too early too, unless it was really a really toxic situation with Rui. I thought he pulled the trigger with Rui a little too early as well. So just a disappointing day for the Wizards. Not making any moves to get better, unless they can find some guys as a buyout candidate. Then that's really, I guess, the best news is Jordan Goodwin is probably going to get a normal contract, and Quentin Jackson is getting a 2-way. But Wizards didn't improve, man, and this roster needs to improve just to even get to the 8th seed. They need to improve, and the Raptors got better by getting Jakob Poeltl. They improved.
Yeah, it's just I hear a lot of talking from the front office, man. I do, but I see very little. Like, they do a lot of talking, very little walking. Like, I'm surprised that he makes a statement that you want to be a playoff team, and then we both agree, man, that they came out at the deadline a worse team, not a better team. And I just don't see. I like Jordan Goodwin. I like Quentin Jackson. I love his potential, man. But I believe we were a move away from being a playoff team. I really do. I think that Josh Richardson, I think Josh Hart could have been realistic options. Like you said, look, I guess nobody loves second round picks anymore because they're being thrown around like it ain't nothing, man. Like, I mean, there's no value in them anymore. But yeah, like you said, it's very discouraging, man, because with them making that statement, I get it, man. A lot of the fan base wants to rebuild. I get it that not everybody's a believer in the solid 3, but you know how I am, man. As long as we winning, and they are fun to watch. I get trying to build around this core somewhat, but you're not making this core better. You didn't give this core any help. Like you said, Denny is making steps and bounds, man. But if he struggles, and if 2 out of the third of the solid 3 struggles, who's going to step up? That's too much for Nunn, man. I mean, Nunn, I think he's a good, solid role player, but he's not a guy who's going to influence the game. That's the reality. We lost scoring punches, man, and I don't get it. I don't get the vision. So yeah, I mean, looking at buyouts, I mean, the 2 biggest names is John Wall and Russell Westbrook, and I highly doubt they're coming to DC because I mean, it's just I don't see either one of them. It would be nice to have John Wall back? Absolutely. But I don't see that happen, especially with everything happening towards the end, the interviews. And Russell Westbrook, he's going to go to a contender. I think, like we were saying, I think the Clippers are probably the most realistic place for him to go. So, yeah, but I mean, before we move on, man, yeah, it's a very lackluster effort at the deadline. And, look, to me, Tommy's got the offseason, man. He's got a year to try to make this work. And then I think him and Wes, I think going to the offseason, they have one more year. And if you're not starting to see a little bit of fruition with this team, man, then we need to blow it up, and we need to start looking at other options, man, because this is very underwhelming, especially if you're trying to go for a playoff spot. So,
yeah, and you look at Josh Hart. He got traded for Cam Reddish, Svi Mahahaluk, Ryan, who went to Villanova as well, and a protected 2023 first round pick. I feel like if you did trade Kuz, you could have probably got 2 first round picks. You see what guys are going for. Teams are willing to give up picks for guys. So I want to keep. I like that we're keeping. I like that we're keeping Kuz, but at the same time, I get trading him too because you want to get value for him if he does not come back. So yeah, I mean, they just kind of stood pat. But we're gonna get to more stuff and some buyout candidates as well. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, like that streaming service you bought to watch just one show on, or that free trial that you never even used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving this average person up to $720 a year. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA, rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, so around the league, the Bulls, they didn't make any moves. The Raptors made one move for Jakob Poeltl, but they did keep a lot of their guys. Like they didn't trade away Gary Trent Jr. Of course, they kept Scotty Barnes. They kept OG Anunoby. They didn't trade anybody away for the most part. So they're a team that can improve. The Knicks got better by getting Josh Hart. The Sixers, they got Jaden McDaniels. They traded away Matisse Thybulle. I think Jaden McDaniels is going to help them. It's either Jaden or Jalen. I can't remember which brother got traded to the Sixers. And the Bucks got Jay Crowder, so they improved a little bit as well. The Celtics got Mike Muscala, who's a shooter. So all the teams and a lot of the upper echelon teams in the Eastern Conference, they made moves. I want to say the Heat they hung on to Kyle Lowry, so they actually didn't trade Kyle Lowry. But looking at the buyout candidates, I'm gonna read them off here. We're gonna read some comments too as well. I do see some people commenting in the chat right now. We are live, so I'm gonna read out a couple buyout candidates and get your thoughts on some of these guys here. Let me just pull up the list. Russell Westbrook, we'll just go over. You can say yay or nay. What you think? Russell Westbrook.
nay.
John Wall.
Nay.
Patrick Beverly.
He's intriguing. I like his dog. I like his attitude, but I don't see it. We have too many guards right now.
Okay. Danny Green.
Yes, he can defend and he can shoot from 3. Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense. 3 guy. Nerlens Noel.
As a defensive guy, yeah, but I don't see him playing any kind of significant minutes. So nah.
Okay. Derrick Rose.
Nay.
Reggie Jackson.
Nay.
Reggie Jackson. I like his game. I think he played well with the Clippers. He's always been productive. He's been a good backup guard. Even with the Thunder, I thought he's always been a good backup point guard.
No, I mean, I like him. I just don't see where he fits. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I don't, you know what I mean?
Right. That makes sense. And they didn't trade. I thought they were going to trade Monte. I really did. When the Athletic came up with the report that the Clippers were interested in him, they came to a game, they scouted him. Maybe they came to the game and didn't like what they saw. So I thought he was going to be on his way out. I thought there was a chance. But he stayed. I like Monte's game. I don't have a problem with his game. I think, of course we both want him to get into the paint more and push the pace a little bit more, but he's just not that kind of guy. Terrence Ross.
Yep, absolutely. He's a shooter. He can create. Yeah, absolutely. That would be that scoring punch off the bench. So absolutely.
Yeah, I would love Terrence Ross. He's a wizard killer for sure. Gogo Batadze.
Ah, I'm intrigued. I'm kind of in the middle if that's an option.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
intrigued, but go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'm intrigued, but I don't know the fit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, he would be a backup big. He'd be a backup big. And that's another quote from Tommy Shepard. He says, "Make no mistake, quote, we are a team definitely in construction mode as we keep growing, but the goal is to still make the playoffs. We're not trying to get worse. Every player in that locker room, they believe we're going to get better. When we get healthy and we can stay healthy, we can go on a run. I'm not going to take that away from them. And that's the thing, too, just relying on their health. I'm hoping they stay healthy, but, it's a solid three that's shown that they just haven't been able to stay healthy this year. I can't even count on my fingers how many games they played together, too. So you got to have depth on this roster. So, it just leaves me scratching my head. And I get why. Because you look at what Josh Richardson, what you had to give up. Because Josh Richardson, he was traded for Devontae Graham and 4 second-round picks. So that's a pretty steep price. And I wasn't banging on the table for Josh Richardson from the Spurs. But that's a guy that I thought could have helped. But yeah, the Bones Highland one, that just sticks out to me. It does. And I get it, his defense. I see somebody in the comments talking about his defense, but I just feel like that's a guy that could. If they were interested in Emmanuel Quickly, then I don't see much of a difference from Quickly in Bones Highland, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think we shouldn't have stand pat. I think there were deals that could have been made, and so yeah, it's very unwanted, man. So yeah, before we move on to comments, you got anything else, man?
No, that's it.
Cool, man. So before we get into comments, tonight's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. This year, the only app you need a Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that can make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel now so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back and bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So let's slide into comments. Fabulous results. So we're cutting Barton, signing Goodwin to a regular contract, and giving Quentin Jackson a 2-way contract. I have to imagine they try to make some moves, but the asking price was too high. Like you're saying, I believe that. Yeah, you're looking at Josh Richardson. Yeah, I can see the asking price being too high, but I mean, I think that Josh Hart could have been a move that we could have made. Maybe Will Barton, though Vernon carries a couple young guys. I mean, I think that was a realistic trade that they could have made. What do you think?
I just know the protections they handicap us with making trades, so I don't even think we could have really made a trade for him, to be honest. Um, he's a good player, and he has the dog in him, which we don't have a lot of. Our identity is we have a finesse identity. And I think he would help and change that. He's a physical guy that plays hard. You saw what he did to us a couple nights ago. He can rebound and he plays hard. He's got that dog in him. Just to simply put it. They gave up Cam Reddish and a first and a couple other guys that are, kind of, end of the bench guys. Cam Reddish is basically getting close to end of the bench guy right now. He's if it doesn't work out for him with the Blazers, he might not. I don't know how long his career is going to be in the NBA, to be honest with you. But yeah, I would have tried to get Josh Hart. I think that's a guy that they definitely. Maybe in the off season they can try to get him. Maybe right now they just don't have the assets. But like Fabulous Results said, yeah, I think the Josh Richardson. I think that trade was just a little steep. I think that was too much. 4 second-round picks and Devontae Graham. Yeah, that's just too. I can't give him 4 first-round, second-round picks. I can't do that.
Nah, not with Devontae Graham. That's crazy.
Right.
I don't get that.
Yeah, so it would have been it would have been 4 second-round picks and probably Monte.
Yeah.
For Josh, that probably would have been similar.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or Will Barton. Or Will Barton.
Yeah, but 4 of them, that's crazy, man. Yeah. John Piner said, we need a point guard who can get in the paint and make things happen. I love John Russ or someone like that. Maybe after Wiz Buyout Barton, we can only hope. I don't see John Wall just because of how he went out. I'm a John Wall fan. That's my favorite Wizards player of all time. But I don't see it happen, man. Not with the way things happen with management. And Russ, I see him going to LA. I see him going to the Clips. So point guard. I mean, I think we have too many guards. I don't see maybe going to the off season. We try to find that point guard of the present and the future. But as far as going, for this season, I think Monte Morris is going to go the rest of the way as the starter. So,
yeah, I'm happy for Quentin Jackson. He's got a 2A. I actually want to see him get some minutes. I think he can come in and produce, and give us some good minutes. Honestly, I think he's a guy that's explosive, has athleticism, can put the ball on the floor and score. I'm happy for Jordan Goodwin if he gets a regular contract after Will Barton's bought out. But yeah, John Wall, after seeing NBC Sports Washington, the way that they handled the John Wall game when he came back with the Clippers, and they didn't really mention him much, and the interview about Tommy Shepard and Ted and Brad and how things ended in DC that he did on the Theo Pinson podcast, I just don't think it will work out. And John, he's to be honest, he's not the same guy that he was before either. I think he could definitely help a team out. I think he'll help if he does get picked up. I think he can help a team out, but he struggled shooting the ball with the Clippers, so there's a reason why he got traded and got bought out as well. Just so many injuries he's been through, and being out of the game for 2 years is tough to come back from that. So, but I wouldn't personally. I wouldn't bring. I would consider it, but I mean, on a veteran minimum, we just have so many guards, so I just don't see. I don't see it happening. Russ, we've been there, done that on a veteran minimum. I mean, he'd be able to get into the paint more than the guys that we have, but and maybe he would come off the bench. He came off the bench for the Lakers, so I don't know if he would come off the bench here, but yeah, it's both guys where I think they're similar in parts of their career, is getting towards the end of their careers, and yeah, I think they're starting to get past their prime.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. So we're gonna do one more comment. This is from Sheldon T. Tired of trading for playing status. Blow it up. We deserve building a championship caliber team here after 40 years of just aiming to be a playoff hopeful. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I say it all the time, man, and I know that we agree on this, man. I think it is such a loser mentality, man, when your ultimate goal is not to win a championship. I think it's not fair to the fan base. I think it's a whole lot of wasted time. And I think if you're only looking for playoff revenue, I think it's just a slap in the face to the fan base. I think you definitely look. I want to blow it up. They're not. So I think with that again, that ship has sailed in itself. But they're going to try to build around this core. But I think they have to be realistic, man. Management has to be realistic and stop, telling us the things we want to hear, and actually, because you don't want to pay luxury tax, but then after paying all three and still having Gafford, what are you gonna do? I mean, it doesn't add up, and I think that's the problem that a lot of us have, man. It's just the lack of vision and them saying a lot but doing very little. So,
yeah, I mean, that's Tommy Shepard's goal, is making a play-in, and Ted's goal as well, making a play-in, making the playoffs. They're good with that. As long as they get into the postseason, they're fine. That's their goal. We deserve building a championship caliber team here after 40 plus years. Just aiming with, it's been a long time coming. 1978. It's been a very long time. So they don't want to rebuild like other teams have rebuilt. The Celtics have had to draft guys, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. You look at the Sixers. You look at the Bucks. They got lucky with Giannis, picking him at 15 or 13. But you look at the Hawks. They made the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago against the Sixers. And they beat the Sixers. And other teams, look at the Cavs. They rebuilt the right way. They were way ahead of us. They just blew us out 2 or 3 days ago. So, you look at so many teams that rebuilt through the draft, and they're just, they're driving by us. They're looking right past us now. So it's unfortunate. Let me see here. There was another comment that somebody else had to. They talked about Reggie Jackson and Reg Pierce that we missed on Tybull. I like Tybull too. He would have brought some defense. Yeah. I've always liked this game. I know he's not going to bring anything really much to the offense side of the ball. Like, he struggles to shoot, but we do need to we can use defense for sure.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Matisse Thybulle, man. I think that would have been a solid move too. It's better than nothing. It's
Right.
better than nothing. So
Yeah. Daryl Haiti says somebody's correct. We got Ernie Grenfell Jr. all over again, expecting different results. A lot of people want Westbrook. He also says Westbrook will come back to Washington where he set a record, and we have a much better team than when he was here the first time. So I mean, yeah, if he could come in and buy in and come off the bench, then it's something to consider. But yeah, I would be skeptical on it right now.
yeah, I would too, because I don't think his play style would work like it did the first time. When he was there the first time, he was a quarterback, so he kind of orchestrated the offense to his speed. But when with the offense going through Kuz or KP, I don't think that it would fit. But no, I'm a big fan of Russ here, man. Him or John, I would love to see it, but again, fit and just from the past, I don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm. And the ball movement too. He's a ball dominant guy, so he has the ball in his hands all the time. But is there any other comments that you had? We'll probably wrap it up now.
No, sir. I mean, definitely appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Definitely, it was a very underwhelming trade deadline, man. But let's try to keep the faith, y'all. Let's try to keep the faith, man.
Yeah, we just had to, scrapple up some content for you guys because Tommy didn't do anything. So we're happy to chop it up with you guys, though.
Definitely. So again, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight, man. Thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. Now make a second listen game to game NBA, every moment, every top performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NBA with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NBA, available on Odyssey app, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts. And again, we are close to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, so like, subscribe, comment below, and hit that notification button. Wherever you get your podcast, definitely 5-star review would definitely appreciate it. And check out me and my dude, the real Ed Oliver, on Twitter and Instagram. We chop it on game days. So again, appreciate everybody. I'm sorry it was uneventful, but again, let's try to keep the faith, man. And see you guys next time. Definitely have a blessed night and peace. Hail to the Wizards.